All right, good evening. The time is now 6 p.m. and the June 15th, 2026 regular meeting of the Lebanon City Schools Board of Education will now come to order. If everyone can join me, stand in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was the fastest we ever had to stand for that.
Yeah,
Right
let's go. All right. Ms. Irvin, can you do the roll, please?
Mr. McCutcheon?
Here.
Mr. Gliotti?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Dalton?
Here.
Mrs. Cope?
Here.
Agenda Section 4, presentation of invited guests. We'll turn this over to you, Mr. Seaver.
Yes, we have a special guest this evening. Matt Robinson is here from the Cancer Free Kids, and he asked us to be able to recognize one of our students this evening. So I'll let him do the talking. If you'll step up to the microphone there, and then Madeline, if you want to stand when he get by him there, you'll be ready to go. Okay, thank you.
I want to say first, thank you so much for letting us be a part of this meeting and taking the time to celebrate a. Hold on a second. There you go. Just builds the anticipation.
Okay.
All right. Let me say thank you again for letting us be a part of this. I think it's wonderful when we as a community are able to celebrate something that individuals may know is true, or maybe all of us know is true, but to be able to recognize it, put it in writing, and celebrate it is something we should do more often. I just want to take a moment to let you know why we are celebrating Madeline. Cancer Free Kids, our mission is to help eradicate pediatric cancer. Pediatric cancer is an adversity that children have to face that is immensely difficult, and no child should have to face it. Less than 8% of federal dollars go to cancer research go to pediatrics. There's over 700 drugs approved for adults and less than 100 for kids. 40% of kids that survive pediatric cancer end up having chronic health conditions as a result, not just of the cancer, but more importantly, because of the medicine they're used to be treated. Students, like your Lebanon students, have participated for the past 15 years now for something called Night for the Fight. And this year's Night for the Fight students, 11 students included at Lebanon, raised over $360,000 for this year's Night for the Fight. Truly exceptional. Goes towards pediatric cancer research, finding less invasive, less toxic treatment options. Besides Madeline, there was 11 students across 3 teams from Lebanon schools that raised $15,000, almost $16,000, which is truly exceptional. And just to brag on you for just a second, I was thinking how to best summarize it into a simple way. Your team raised nearly $15,000, and this year you raised over 6 of that. And if you look at the past several years, in 2026, we just talked about it, your team raised $15,000. In 25, your team raised $16,000. In 24, you raised $13,000. And in 23, your team raised $11,000. It's truly exceptional. And if you could make a school out of students like you, that school would be immensely better. And I think if you could create a world with people like you, we wouldn't have to exist as an organization because pediatric cancer wouldn't be an issue. So on behalf of Cancer Free Kids, I would like to award you with this induction into the Visionary Society. And to just tell you what the Visionary Society is anyone who donates or raises $5,000 in a calendar year gets to enter this select group, this select society, and 99% of them are adults. Mm-hmm. You're exceptional in the fact that you have done this 4 straight years in your work for pediatric cancer research. So thank you so much for raising such an exceptional student. And Madeline, thank you so much for giving back out of the adversity that you've faced and the things that you have encountered to make the world a better place for others. Thank you.
Madeline, do you want to say anything?
You want to talk? Yeah.
Go right ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to say thank you to Lebanon and all of the help that you've provided me in this journey, and the NHS specifically for just kind of helping and reaching out and being there for me when I needed it, giving me a place to share the word all these 4 years. And so, yeah, thank you very much.
Outstanding job.
So did you just graduate?
Yes.
Yep. All right. What's next?
College at OU, so.
Oh, okay. Good for you. All right.
Congratulations.
You're amazing.
Amazing.
About that.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Matt, for reaching out to us and letting us know about this and for being here tonight to share this with us. And thank you, Madeline, for being a great advocate for the research, but also an ambassador for Lebanon City Schools. Appreciate the work that you've done. So,
Well, then next we have Miss Cheryl Brunn from the Lebanon Lions Club with the check.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Brunn. I'm president-elect of the Lebanon Lions Club and also the student advisor for our high school Leos Club. And I'm really impressed with this young lady. And I wish she had been part of our club, but I do know that the Leos and NHS do some things together. So I'm going to pursue that and hopefully pick it up for the Leos as well. We can work on that together. So, because the Lions also do pediatric cancer research. We fund quite a bit of that. But I'm here tonight to present $500 to Lebanon City Schools for vision exams in classes. This is something we've been doing for a number of years, and anytime that Ms. Irvin asks, and says we need money, we provide it. So our funds are raised by community members, such as Mr. McCutcheon. He generously is going to help sponsor our car show this year again. And that's our largest form of fundraising that we do, and that's how we are able to provide the funds for the vision screening. We also do preschool vision screening, so we go to all the preschool classes in Warren County, and we do the vision screening for them as well. So we're super proud of our work for the community. All the money that we raise stays in the community, which I think is important. There's no big high-paid CEO or anything like that, and all the funds stay local. And we also, this year, for the first time, we're able to award 5 $1,000 scholarships to our Leo graduates this year. So 5 young ladies that were in Leos received $1,000 scholarships each. So that was very exciting for us, too. So we thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve the Lebanon community.
awesome. Thank you.
Cheryl. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's have board members, if you can come forward, we can get a photo with Cheryl and the check from Leo's. And then after that, we'll ask Matt and Madeline to come forward. And then that will be the end of public. You can stick around for a lot longer if you'd like, but the presentation portion will be finished here. Great, thank you so much. And then would you two come forward for a picture also? Mike, stay there.
Front and center. Front and center. One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you. to stay, but you don't have to.
I'm going to go home and watch on TV.
Okay, sounds Schmitz is at Ace Hardware. Let's wrap this thing up.
I was there at noon.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, if it pleases the board, I want to take a minute. I received a letter today, and I wanted to read it to everybody. Really sad they left. This is, Dear Roy McCutcheon, my name is Bran. My brother Zalen went to your school. He is now at the junior high. I will be attending Barry for 6th grade. I love doing art, so I took your logo and added some swag. I hope you enjoy my art. I like the logo, but you've had the same logo for so long. Thank you for your time. Please write back. Your Warrior Bren. So he swagged our logo.
There you go.
You see that? And when I first started reading, I was like, why would he send me that with swag? And then I figured probably the pink shirt. He knew. He knew who to reach out to. He knows, yeah, I'm the go-to swag guy. So, all right. All right, agenda section 5, adoption of our agenda. I need a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments, corrections, changes? Mr. Lane? You want to pull anything out?
I think it was already done.
It's all
No.
good.
I was going to ask you about, in other educational, approval of the 2027-2028 school year calendar. You want to just leave that?
I don't need to pull it out.
Okay, you're good? All right. Anything else? All right. Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Section 6, communications and reports. A would be hearing of the public. No one has signed up. B, superintendent update. Mr. Severs?
Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to cover tonight is just, last month, we had some questions about payment in lieu of, and I just want to go through a couple things here, because it's back on the agenda tonight. Karen and Scott Butler worked on this, because it's really something that falls under their purview. We shared this with you, board members, but basically, Ohio Revised Code requires the school district to provide transportation to any private charter school or any other educational school that lies within 30 minutes from the school that the child would attend. And so we measure that by using a bus, according to the law, by using a bus at the normal time transportation happens, and go from, let's say, they're leaving Lebanon High School at 7 o'clock in the morning, because we would pick them up on a bus and take them to CHCA, for example. We're supposed to bus it during that time. It's within 30 minutes. We're required to provide transportation. If the board decides that it's impractical to provide transportation, then it goes into something called payment in lieu of transportation, which is also governed by Ohio Revised Code. So, there's a process to request transportation. The parents request transportation. We decide whether it's practical or impractical. They put them on the board agenda, student name and rationale for impracticality, which is what we were doing last month. I think we brought back this month, basically saying, these people requested transportation. We deemed it impractical for a variety of reasons, and we'll cover that in a second. And at the conclusion of the school year, we verify enrollment and residency, and we pay the family. So here are some things that we utilize to determine whether it's practical or impractical to provide transportation. Time and distance, like we said, do we have to transport them? The number of pupils to be transported. So if it's one kid going to, a school, it's not practical to drive them even if it's 30 minutes away, unless that is on one of our routes already and we're going right by that school. So for example, we have a bunch of kids we're transporting to Middletown. If somebody signed up to ride the bus from Fenwick, we are driving out 122 and 123 and going by Fenwick, we probably would have the ability to drop that one kid off at Fenwick, even though it's one kid. So we make those case-by-case determinations with school. The cost of providing transportation. Are there similar services provided to other eligible pupils? So if we don't provide high school transportation, we wouldn't have to provide high school transportation to any private schools. So those are some of the things that we determine. We do provide transportation, by the way. So this is the example Scott and Karen used to determine impracticality. So the cost of transportation, which is one of the other questions we had last month. There is a formula the Ohio Department of Education uses. We fill out documentation every year on the cost of transport people. So information, people don't probably understand this, but it costs $68,513 to operate a bus during the fiscal year 24-25 school year. How do we know that? What's the total cost of transportation divided by the number of bus routes? So we spend $4.179 million on transportation in that school year. We divide it by the number of routes on the road, and that's the number that the Department of Education says that's what it costs to operate that bus for a year. The average cost to transport a rider, you take the amount of money spent divided by our total number of riders who signs up to ride the bus every day. So we're transporting every day 3,450 kids. It's a lot. It's a lot of kids that we're transporting. So the average cost to transport a rider is $1,211. The Department of Education says that's the cost to transport a kid. The payment in lieu of amount is half of that. So it's set annually by the Department of Education based off of what it would cost to transport a kid, half of that. So $606 or something like that, I think is $606. So let's take a private school that we have 14 students attending. Let's determine that they're inside of 30 minutes and we have to transport them. The average cost to transport that kid would be the cost of a bus divided by 14 students. So it would cost us $4,893 to transport the kid. We would say it's more practical for us to pay them in lieu of transportation than it would be to transport those students to that school that is inside of 30 minutes that we have to do. So in this situation, instead of taking a bus and spending $68,000, we would do payment in lieu of $607.15, multiply it by the 14 kids, and we're saving money by offering them payment in lieu of. Again, very legally defined process. We fill out the form based off of those that request. We don't get money from the state unless the people fill out the form and request transportation. So we do get some reimbursement. The state does not pay us unless they're either being transported or have applied for payment in lieu of.
So everybody on the list is getting 607.15.
607.15
I don't think we knew that number last.
per kid.
Per kid.
Right.
So based off
Every
of the
student
question,
on the list.
so
yes.
based off the questions we had last month, I wanted to provide you with the amount and the process that is followed. Does anybody else have any other questions about payment in lieu of in that way?
So if someone's driving 1, 2, 3 kids to one school, they get $1,800.
$1,800, because it's per pupil, not per family. Yep, so. And then, let's say we transport, so in town, we have several private schools that are in our school district, inside the city limits. It's practical for us to drop them off, it's like another school building. We don't offer payment in lieu of to any of the people that drop their kids off at Lebanon Christian or St. Francis, because we have a bus that goes there. So this is only offered if we determine we're not taking a bus to that location.
So I know you used Moeller as an example, but my quick counting, which is probably wrong, there's 41 kids going to St. Susanna. So the story could be different by school, right?
Correct. But timing is important. We may not have the ability to get them there at the time that school starts. And so it's probably just under 30 minutes there as well. So like timing of it and the availability of drivers is an issue for us as well. And I think we've seen it, some of our neighboring school districts, they're busing to a lot of these private schools. And it's putting some strains on their transportation department. And so I think there's going to be, as you see a shortage of drivers, this may be an option that's better. And for whatever reason, St. Susanna, looking at that number on the list is one of those ones, it's probably because of the timing of the routes. We'd have to dedicate a whole bus to go there, and that would take that bus probably out of 2 rotations. Where right now, we're using the same driver and the same bus for 2 or 3 different rotations
Yeah,
in the morning.
the only way, again, simple math, that would make sense to take the bus, it looks like, is if you could get 100 kids on a bus at $607, get you the cost of the bus, right? $60,013.
Yeah, but you can't put 100 kids in buses,
Correct,
only seat 72,
All right.
so.
That's all this was, but let's get some clarification on.
Yep, I want to provide you with the
90%
numbers, the
out.
questions that were asked last month. So Karen and Scott did some work, and I appreciate that information. If anybody has any questions, let me know. But what you're approving tonight on the agenda is the list of students that attend schools that have applied for transportation and requested it, and we've determined that it's impractical to go there.
And there's a second piece of legislation that you haven't seen before. We're going to have you look at it tonight, and then from here on out, provide it on the organizational meeting in January. When we were talking with a consultant specifically who retired from transportation at the state, he said we should actually be doing this all year long, where if a student moves in to the area and is being transported, we should be evaluating that as that happens rather than once a year, which is what we have been doing. So the legislation that you're going to approve tonight as a one-time thing is allowing Mr. Severs as the superintendent to declare that school, that drive, that student's transportation as impractical. And then as soon as he does that, the next board meeting, you'll get that as the approval. So it gives initial authority to the superintendent. We'll bring it to the next board meeting where you'll see this as a much more regular item where students are moving in, we declare it impractical so that we can start the paperwork from the parent side to do this process.
Would that student then be prorated, so not six,
Yes,
they move in
correct.
halfway through the year?
They prorate, so some of those kids on your list won't receive
607 is
full-
the max.
607 is the max, and they won't receive the full
Okay.
if they did not attend that school for the full year.
Well, if they didn't live in Lebanon.
Yes, correct.
And
Or-
attended that school,
Correct.
then, yeah.
So the other thing I would point out is that, we've just seen, this region has seen a tremendous amount of growth in the last 10 to 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. Some of these school districts, some of these school buildings, they've not evaluated the length of the drive, the timing of the drive in a while. And so the recommendation from the consultant company was you need to do these on a pretty regular rotation and basis. So I think there's a couple of them that, if you think about the amount of growth that's happened between here and
Montgomery.
in Montgomery,
Yeah.
for example, right? It's a lot, takes you longer to get on the highway than it used to, and it takes you longer after you get off the highway than it used to get to school buildings. And so
Where are you measuring from?
you measure from the front door of the school building that they would attend. So I'm going to use Moeller as an example. If it is Moeller, the students attending Moeller would be coming from Lebanon High School. We have to get onto a bus during the morning normal travel time for buses and measure from the parking lot at Lebanon High School to the front door at Moeller, where we would drop them off. And if it takes longer than 30 minutes, then we would say we no longer need to provide transportation because it's outside of 30 minutes. And
I would have to think Dayton Christian's close to that number as well.
so there are some that they're going to retime and begin retiming this summer, and then retime again in the fall when school starts up, because traffic is different when school's in session. And so it doesn't make sense for us to run the route. I'm going to use Fenwick again as an example. Not much has changed between here and Fenwick, right? Not much has changed between here and Lebanon Christian, because it's next door to Donovan. We're already running there. But if you get further out, sometimes those things change. So that's going to become a more regular process for the transportation department, so.
Anything else?
Mr. Severs?
I have nothing more.
Moving on to C, board committee reports. Up first, Ms. Dalton
Okay,
for our student achievement.
all right. I think there are only 5 slides. I noticed that 2 of my reports got combined, so I'm going to skip over some, or it'll be the end, yes. So it's just, don't worry, it won't be a half an hour. Just a quick one. All right, for June. Okay, I just did want to bring this to everyone's attention because I really think over the past 3 years, or maybe more, we have done a lot with our food service. And it all comes down to trying to provide the best quality food to our students and kind of teach them along the way. And I think that our food service coordinator and head of that department has done an excellent job. She even goes to the classroom and kind of teaches some, not teaches some classes, but just kind of presents to some of the classes about hydroponics and how to eat healthy. And I think that that's foundational in education of students to know what they're eating. So they were nominated for an award, and there's a cash reward or a scholarship or something, grant associated with that. So if anyone's watching and they can go and click on to vote for them.
Yeah, so I think our social media, we shared something recently about that. So Megan Grippa is the lady on the right, and Amy Eaker is the lady on the left. And they're up for this award, Innovation Award finalist. I think the hydroponics is moving into a more formal setting than the hallway in the kitchen where it's been the last couple of years here. But they've been doing a lot of growing their own vegetables and things. It's been really good. Megan is a certified dietitian, and so a lot of the things that they're talking about are on balanced meals, and they've been trying some really great things out for our students and staff. It's been well received. We've seen a tremendous increase in participation since she got here several years ago.
Yes. All right, and then we all attended the graduation and were part of that ceremony, and it was just one of the best events that we have every year because we highlight a lot of students that are doing a lot for our community and have gotten like honors, awards and scholarships, and I think everyone's on really good behavior, and the speeches are very uplifting and motivational. So I think it really highlights who we are as Lebanon City Schools and what we've done over the years to get these students to that level and then beyond. So I think it's just a great event. Oh, I want to thank the band and the choir and the faculty and staff that came out to be a part of that because all the faculty were giving out the diplomas along the way. And the one thing that I noticed is there were so many parents of students this year, more than I've ever seen before, that came up to give their son or daughter their diploma.
It's such a cool tradition, so I appreciated the opportunity to do that this year with my own daughter, but it's been something that's been in position for a long time, and I think it's great when staff members, there aren't a ton of perks, but being able to tell your kid congratulations, hand them a diploma, I think is one of those cool moments, and it was a great ceremony this year. So thanks to Mike and Karen for the reminder that I was supposed to walk to the other end of the stage.
Yeah. You were a
when it
little
was-
late.
I was a little bit late. It was an awkward pause. I apologize. So
Okay, this Donovan showcase was from May, or probably, yes. But I thought this was interesting story here as a graduate of 2024. Tanner Boyd is archery, and it just kind of came up because we're the Warriors, and he's like trying to get to kind of the Olympic level, at least the collegiate level of archery. So that's the reason for that.
I do think it's great Mr. Brunk shares recognition of student graduates and things every once in a while on the weekly bulletin as well with staff to kind of keep staff connected. So
And then, this is the final slide. It was in May, we had at Berry, we had Career Day. And it really helps probably give these students a grasp of what's beyond school and why school's important. And just to see, with all of our community members coming into the school to talk to our students, and they learn how to be a part of conversations with adults and ask questions and get an understanding of what's out there for when they finish probably another 8 more years or 6 more years of school. But
We've done a pretty good job in the last couple of years of providing exploration opportunities for younger students just to be exposed to careers and to begin learning about them. The students at Berry get to choose which ones of these, they kind of see a list ahead of time and get to choose what it is. And so appreciate also the community members that come in and talk about their careers. It's been a really good opportunity for our students to learn. So,
okay,
thanks, Jennifer.
yep, thanks.
Thank you. Next, CAT Committee, Mr. Gliotti.
Yep, there is no update this month.
Okay. Legislative Liaison, Ms. Cope.
Well, both chambers are now out for summer recess, but before they left, there were several things that, before they left, they were busy. House Bill 479, which was a budget cleanup bill. It had amendments for property tax reform packages that passed last fall. It is now passed in both the House and the Senate and has gone to the governor for his signature. There was also the Senate passed House Bill 455, which eliminated obsolete provisions of education law. For example, they barred school boards from considering a member of the board not attending a meeting for serving in the armed forces as a legitimate absence for missing a board meeting. So different things like that. And that's gone to the governor also to be signed. And I think, I'm trying to see if there was any others that has gone to the governor. The House passed Senate Bill 52, which amended language, which was designating different things with the license plates, which has now gone to the governor too. So many different things occurred, and lots of different things you can get on and just kind of read how our legislators have passed several things on to our governor. But there is a ton of stuff that they did right before they left for summer.
Mr. Matthews described it as a mini lame duck session. They tried to get things done. Obviously, it's an election year, and so they'll be out until the election's done. We've been told to kind of, depending upon what happens with the November election, how active the post-election legislation will be in Columbus. So we're just kind of watching that to see what happens. I don't believe there was a whole lot in this session that really impacted education too much. But there are a lot of things that have been introduced and waiting, either committees or whatever, that I think could be rolled up together come November. So we'll stay alert of that. Thanks, Ms. Cope.
Very good. Warren County Career Center, Mr. Lane.
Yeah, a couple updates here. Kind of one of them that's pretty cool is the cyber technology students are working with Lebanon Christian schools to create and install intercom and bell system at LCS. That was kind of a neat joint venture between the Career Center, Lebanon Christian, but even more important, the fact that our students are the ones doing that, or taking a big part of that. The other news there, obviously, we had handbook season. We did the same thing last month there, and probably a lot like Karen's going to say, the treasurer of the Career Center talked about expenses are higher, revenues are lower. We at the Career Center are trending favorably to plan or forecast on the expenditures, but obviously the gap is shrinking between the two, I guess shrinking between the two. So the Career Center's funded a little bit differently and not seeing quite the pains that we're seeing as a local school district, but still seeing the expenditures much higher, which everybody going to the grocery store can see the expenses much higher, so. That's my update. Next meeting is a week from Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Moving on to Agenda Section 7, I'm going to need a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our regular board meeting, Monday, May 11th, then the board work session following that board meeting on Monday, May the 11th, and then our board work session from Tuesday, June the 9th.
So moved?
Second.
Comments, questions about the minutes from those last three meetings?
I'm trying to remember if I was at May 11th. I know I was not at June 9th. I was at May 11th.
You were May
Yeah,
11th.
it was just before. Nope, no other questions.
No questions. All right. Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve the financial consent items A through N, please? A through N.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Irving, the floor is yours.
Okay. I tried to keep this short, so we'll see how quickly I can get through it. All right, the first slide, I just wanted to highlight some of the communication that we pushed out in May. I was really happy with the result, and a big shout out to my executive assistant because she did a lot of this. So she's really stepped up her game on this, and I really appreciate her help. But just taking a look at May, we tried to focus in on staffing. As you all know, staffing is the largest part of our budget. So both on Facebook and on our website, we posted some of this information. If anyone wants to look at this, we created the middle piece, and this piece is a fold-out pamphlet that you can print, and has some other great information, but really just highlighting the reason we're here is people. 80% of our budget, if you think of a $100 bill, $80 of that is all for people. People to teach our children, people to clean floors, people to provide nutrition for our kids, right? Like this is what we're here for. We have 792 amazing people, over 5,000 students benefiting from those great folks. I thought it was a very interesting statistic, so I pulled it up here. Looking at just our teacher staff, 68% of our current staff have over 10 years of experience. This is a place that they come and they participate for a long time, and we're so grateful for the staff that we have. And then it's about half and half, whether you're in the 4 to 10 camp or under 4 years. So I'm curious to see over the next 5 years how these ratios change. We know we have a lot of retirements, a lot of great folks getting to retirement age. So I'm curious to see how this will shift. But right now we have a really great seasoned staff and doing a great job with our kids. And then why does that matter? Why do we even care? Well, what we put into our people is what we put into our kids, and we know that, we recognize that. So that's why we wanted to focus a month on just solely our staff and how important all the things they provide for our kids. Okay, taking a look at the next slide.
Karen, can I offer one thing real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've done this once before, and we had some questions because people do the math. So the 792, not all of them are full-time employees, and not all of them are teachers. So if you were going to divide 5,128 by 792, your class sizes would be relatively small compared to what they actually are. So just to be clear with, if you get questions, we've done this in the past, and that's been a question. Those are not all teachers. That is full-time coaches, part-time coaches, bus drivers, child nutrition, workers,
Substitutes.
everybody.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
just to
Yeah.
be clear.
Great clarification. Okay, so taking a look at our forecast, I will be presenting an updated forecast in July. So next month, you'll see a different forecast. But just a reminder where we're at, we are approaching the end of 2026, It's flown by. So that red box is where we're sitting right now as the projection. And then you'll see at the very bottom, I had added the remaining days cash on hand. Based on our board policy, we want to stay above 90. So you'll see that X is where we go lower than 90. So 2028 is where we're looking at, we actually end that year less than the 90. So keeping this in mind, obviously this will shift as I present a new one. We'll take off 2025, that year has long gone. We will have final numbers for 2026, so we'll have a bit of a better idea of where we anticipate landing for 26 and 27. But this is where we're sitting at as of February. Okay, so days cash on hand, this was a new trend line that I provided. And Mike had asked last month if we could add some more data as far as previous months. As I was playing with it, adding all of the months makes it too confusing because they're so close together. So what I did instead is I provided you the low point where we hit the bottom and the high point where we hit the top. So if you see there at the bottom, the low point is in January. It's always January when we're waiting for that second half of our property tax. We hit 62 days. So as you're thinking about the slide we just saw where we're ending with less than 90 days, understand we still have a year there where we're hitting a low point, right? And so there's a period in January that your treasurer is going to be freaking out a little bit, okay? So that's just kind of what to keep in mind there. On the opposite side, right when we hit and we get all of our property taxes, we look really great, right? Because we're hitting, this year it was August, we hit 142 days. Well above our marker, still below the maximum that we want to keep. But you have this very wide range throughout the year dependent upon when that property tax is coming in. So we're still right on target for what we've been planning for most of the year. We anticipate we'll end at 106 days this year. I also added into this graph, this is a graph you see every month, I added the number of days here. So you can actually see the trend. This trend happens every single year. We've talked about some of the variances in that gray bar. We had a variance in February just from timing of property tax. You'll see that we're right on trend for where we normally are in May. And we'll talk through a little bit of some variance that I am seeing. We've only got 1 month of the year left, but we are right on trend with what we have seen. So 11 months of the year, we should expect to see and spend about 92%. Revenues were at 96, a very small variance, about 1% variance. Now that 1% is almost all property tax. If you recall last month I said property taxes are looking a little bit low. We are about $1.5 million short this year from what we anticipated getting. That is not, that will be received, just not in this fiscal year. So that is solely related to how the law changed the property tax collections and the credit that the county is going to issue. So they changed how they issued those property tax bills, which ended up giving us 1 million less this year. They will collect it come the fall in their fall settlement. That just for us happens to be the new fiscal year. So we're going to catch up on that 1.5. It will show short this year. So just a heads up there. It's a very small amount in scope of all of our total revenues, which is why you see a small variance, but it is still a significant, it's $1.5 million. So there's still a significant amount there. Expenditures, very, very close, 91%, only 0.5% variance here. If you recall, I had overestimated in the forecast, both purchase services and supplies and equipment. Purchase services hit just like I thought it would. It's all dependent on the month that you're hitting. And so last year it did May and June, we saw spikes. And so I thought I'd account for that this year, hoping that might be the trend that we should expect. So far it's proving me right. We'll see how June falls, but May certainly followed that same trend. So we're very, very close on those estimates. I think the forecast is pretty close to what actually we thought was happening in February. That's it.
How did transportation expense come in compared to budget?
I don't have the specifics, but I can absolutely follow up with you.
Assuming higher with subs and gas prices?
So if I were to guess, I would say the expense side higher, but also the revenue side higher. Because we did so much to work towards getting that bonus. We changed routes, we fixed a lot of things, built efficiencies. So my guess is that both of them are higher, but I'll get back with you.
Any other questions for Karen? I will go ahead and read the other ones. B is our normal monthly report for May of 2026, and then C then would be the amended appropriations for this month. D will be temporary appropriations for the 2026-2027 school year. E is our amended certificate of estimated resources for June of 2026. And then F is amended certificate of estimated resources for the 2026-2027 school year. G is 2 donations. H is a student activity budget and purpose statement, which I think that's the creation of the class of 2030. And Karen and Mr. Severs, if you guys want to jump in at any time. I is an agreement with Hamilton County ESC.
I'll jump in with this one, just so you're aware. All agreements that are less than 50,000, you all approve as of the organizational meeting. If they're in the budget and they're less than 50,000, we are allowed to approve these. This one is higher, so that's why you see it. It's something you see annually, but that's the reason this one's on the agenda.
J is to approve the resolution authorizing the superintendent to determine transporting a student is or are impractical.
So what you're doing is giving me the authority to have the determination when somebody says, I'm attending XYZ school, we will go out and we will drive the route to see whether it's less than 30 minutes, and then we will determine if we can route them practically. And instead of waiting for the board meeting and saying, I don't know if they're gonna pay you, or I don't know if we're gonna do this, for the rest of the month, I will just tell them it's impractical, and then we'll bring it to the board, and regularly do the resolution.
check at the end of the year,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
But it allows us to move the process along.
But if the school's already on the list, then,
Then we don't have to do it.
yeah.
It would be a new school that would start up, or a new student attending a school that we've not transported or didn't know about before,
Gotcha.
so.
K would then to approve the resolution declaring transportation of certain students impractical and offering payment in lieu of transportation.
So real quick on this one, you're also going to see this one again very soon. We typically only do this once a year, but we need to do it actually prior to the school year. So you're going to see another one come either July or August. You're going to see another one. It's for the upcoming school year. This one is for last school year.
But if it's we're gonna make payment at the beginning of the
We
year?
don't make payment, we declare it as impractical.
Gotcha.
That way we can start tracking.
Gonna say, how would you know about the proration if you're paying it
Yeah,
before the school?
no,
year
we wait till
starts?
the end of the year, and then transportation coordinator goes in and looks at each student to determine.
They're required to fill out the form annually requesting transportation, so we have all this information now for next school year already. But the process in the past has been, for whatever reason, we waited till the end of the year to say it was impractical to transport them this year, and then the next month we issue the payments. But we're gonna do it in a much
makes
more
more sense,
efficient
yeah.
manner going forward.
So you're gonna declare them impractical in July and August, and then
Yes,
when the school year's over, send them their
Yes.
check.
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. L is to approve Lebanon City Schools free and reduced price school meals application for the 2026-27 school year. M is to approve the faculty use rental, personal cost, and transportation field trip rates effective July 1st for the 2026-2027 school year.
So for this one, if we rent facilities and we charge people for the rental to cover the cost of the custodians required to be there, we update that annually based off of a formula determining, because salaries go up and things like that. I would point out that this year, the cost to transport people, that employee cost actually went down from last year to next year because we had, it was more efficient to use buses this year in terms of the cost of that. So had a lot to do with the turnover of bus drivers and the experience of drivers that are using those trips. And so
And then N is to approve the revised substitute temporary position salary schedule for the 2026-2027 school year. So any more questions, comments, concerns anyone would like to add? Agenda Section 8.
Just a
financial
question on the-
consent items, A through N.
Substitute, are we still competitive?
Yeah.
Middle, I know for.
we're
2 years
typically,
ago, we were well below.
we're trying to be the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Is the goal on that, to not be the highest and not be the lowest. We've done a really good job of being able to find substitutes and be competitive there. So.
Any other questions about A through N? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin?
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda Section 9 is our public records request, and this board does acknowledge the receipt of the public records requests as presented in our board packet. Agenda Section 10, policies. I'm going to need a motion to approve the final reading of policy P07540-09, artificial intelligence.
So moved?
Second.
So state law required us to have a policy on AI and its implementation in place prior to July 1st. So we spent almost the entire year with a committee of people looking at different types of AI, acceptable use of it. This is more of a 30,000-foot view, not necessarily what AI tools are we going to have, not how we're going to teach it or anything in the period, but are we going to allow it? What's the purpose for us allowing it? What are the governing principles for that in terms of that? So I think the next steps for us would be, after this policy is implemented, would be a guidebook and beginning to kind of look at the different tools that are available. Ms. Dalton, you mentioned, there are going to be a lot of things that are kind of protections for AI and people trying to sell us softwares. I receive probably 3 to 5 emails a week from a company trying to sell us something that says, we'll make AI safe for your students to use. Use our company. It's costly, and we have some really good tools already that we're just beginning to teach kids when it's appropriate to use it, how to use it appropriately, cite it. And I think it's going to be good for us to have these things in place and begin to do some training and some teaching for students in the next year. It's not going to replace staff members, and it's not going to replace learning. And so we have to teach kids how to do it and use it, because it's a tool they have. My phone now tells me a summary of a text message instead of, me opening up the text message to read it. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. But it's built into everything they have in their hands right now. So we need to teach them how to do it responsibly.
Any other questions? Ms. Dalton? Good?
Yeah, yes, good,
All right,
thanks.
Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. McCutcheon, I would like A to be pulled out of the next section separately, not pulled out, but voted on separately. That's not pulled out. Just don't want it to be A through E.
That's why I asked you at the
Well,
beginning.
it's
if
different
you-
than pulling it out. It's just.
I meant
voting on
pulling it out
separately.
so we could vote on it separately.
Yeah.
That's when we amend the agenda.
No, it's not an amend. You're just doing motion, you're doing 11A separately from B
On the
through
vote.
E.
Is that, we can do that?
It needs to be a motion to pull it out.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. You can pull it out at one request.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
So,
Technicalities.
technicalities. So I will need, so agenda section 11, I will need a motion to approve under the educational consent items, agenda section 11A, right?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
So that is going to be the 2027, 2028 school year calendar.
Okay.
Any questions, comments, or concerns about the 2027, 2028 school year calendar?
So the same comments I made last year. I just feel like we're building vacation days into the calendar. I look at October 11th. I look at April 14th. I looked at the fact that Christmas is on the Saturday, and yet we're taking off the entire week beforehand. I mean, we could either get out a week earlier or start a week later, with not a whole lot of manipulation of the calendar. We got a whole week off of Thanksgiving. I mean, our job's kind of be in school, and this is inconvenient to parents that just put random days on the calendar that are there for really no reason. And it frustrates me. I wanted this separate because I'm a no vote. I don't like this calendar, and I didn't like it last year, and I don't like it this year.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Lane. I don't like this calendar.
I'll make a comment. So what we've seen since COVID is attendance has not been back to where it was at that time. So by building in days in the calendar, it is the hope, I think from several different perspectives, that people would try to, there's many people that travel during the school year. We're trying to get people to gear more towards taking long weekends and vacations during scheduled time off instead of, if you have school, I don't know if you have statistics, but Lebanon did go to school this year, the week of Thanksgiving. I know attendance drops because kids don't come to school. I know that other school districts close that week because of the significant drop in attendance. So if you're gonna have school days that kids don't attend, it's not to the benefit, it's not benefiting students in particular, an educational value if teachers are teaching to not as many students present. You want the value of an instruction to be there for all students. So it's a cultural thing where people just really aren't going to school
I
like
agree.
they did. The state has had many initiatives to try to increase attendance, but I think it continues to be probably not the same as it was. We used to have perfect attendance, different awards and things. We don't seem to think that's as important anymore. I personally think you should be in school, but also I think too, there is lots of research, there are schools that are going to 4-day school weeks and things like that, and that is really to help staff and students in general, hopefully increase productivity and mental health issues just with time.
So I will say a couple things, and first of all, school calendars is the bane of my existence, so it's the least favorite thing I do as a superintendent. I will say that, because you never make everybody happy. Never make everybody happy. But one of the things that we sit down with the calendar committee to tell them and to go through is our contract, and I'm gonna go back 6 years ago, prior to COVID, every Wednesday, the school district would get an early release from school. every single Wednesday, and everybody would be bused home 1 hour early for professional meetings. That was a very big inconvenience because the schedule changed every Wednesday. It was a nightmare for transportation. So we negotiated to get rid of that, but it was professional learning time, and when we met with our employees, so as an exchange, were teacher work days at the end of every quarter. So quarter ends on a Thursday in October. Mr. Lane, let me see
It's
here.
the 8th, and then the 11th is just an
Yeah.
off day.
So, there's a non-student day, but staff reports to work at the end of every quarter. There's one at the end of first quarter, the beginning of third quarter, so right around Christmas break time, and then another one in March. So those are days that were inserted there, and that's professional time. The other thing is, on the calendar, there is a fall break day, is what it's listed as, in October. I think it's actually like maybe November 1st or something like that.
No, it's the 11th, which is after the 8th professional day. So it's
Yes.
the Monday following.
So the Monday following which made it a 4-day weekend for students. Staff works on Friday, students, nobody comes to work on Monday. One of the reasons for that, and the calendar committee's suggestion for it, was that stretch from Labor Day to Thanksgiving is a stretch there of long time. And I think staff attendance becomes an issue in that period of time, just from burnout and things like that. And that's a real thing that gets brought up in those meetings. So that's why it was placed there. We have, amongst teachers and staff members in the room, the same debate that you're having right now. They would like school to start as late as possible, and they would like to get out as early as possible, but they all still want 2 weeks at Christmas. And this year, we were the only school in Warren County that did not do a full week at Thanksgiving. Everybody
And I
else is-
remember you saying that
Yeah.
last year.
So, 184 workdays is what is required in the contract for teachers. So if you look and all the numbers are kind of off to the side, no matter when we do it, they're still required to work 184 days. The board is responsible for selecting the staff work calendar every year. It's one of your responsibilities. And our contract says we have to give input and opportunity for input to our staff members. And so that's the committee that I lead, and I make a recommendation. It is your decision as a Board of Education to approve a calendar for work. That's up to you. So I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. I wish we could go back to starting later in August. But that's kind of the days and things, and that's the trend. And I will say this, I think it is much more common now for families to pull kids out of school to take vacations during the school year.
I mean, I
Before-
thought 20-something years ago, it was pretty common then too. I mean, if they want to take a vacation, they take a vacation. But these days, so that impacts the families that choose to do it. This impacts 100% of families. That's my argument there, right? If the family chooses to go, that's one thing. But we're going to inconvenience 100% of the families. Now, it's random days, right? And I get it. But it's still vacation days built into the calendar. That's my feeling. So we can vote on it. I know my answer, but
I think too, if you think back, I know when my kids were here, which, I mean, they're almost 30 now, so we did start later in August, and first semester went after Christmas
Correct.
break.
Yep.
So you have to try to get the number of days in first semester, and when it went after Christmas break, a lot of students were doing projects, studying for exams and all those things over Christmas break. So there really wasn't a break for students, and I think that was necessary. The change was positive when they did that. That's when we started to shift back and starting earlier. But
The other trend in going earlier in August is to get as many days of instruction in prior to state testing. So those are things that I think are factors that play into this. Again, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just, my job was to put a committee together and get input from staff members. We had like 8 calendars presented. All of them would have had a day here and there off. There was maybe one calendar that started a week or so later in August that had fewer days off during the school year. It's the only way to make 184 days off. Start later, you take fewer days off.
Yep.
It just looks like I mean, if you look at August, basically summer vacation now is June and July. Right? It's not 3 months anymore. But they get almost 3 weeks off for Christmas, because I count Saturday and Sunday as day off, or as a day.
Then you have a work
I mean,
day
I
on
counted
the 3rd.
17 days.
Yeah.
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 17, I mean, I think, what did we get, Jason, like 5?
I do have parents begging to take kids back that first week of, some of my friends are asking if I can take kids with me to work that week, so. I would also say our calendar is not unlike anybody else in Warren County or, around intentionally, because, we try to stay as close to each other as possible. Just for busing to all the different, places we have to take to as well.
Anything else? All right, Ms. Irvin, roll.
Okay, Mr. McCutcheon?
Why do I have to
Starts with you. Top one.
Because this is what the teachers wanted, I'm gonna vote yes. But if one of them puts on Facebook, oh God, school's starting next week, I'm gonna talk to him. All right.
Mr. Gliotti?
I'm a yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Well, I can see where Mike is coming from on of this, and at least there was a committee that like approved this calendar, or at least the majority did. And so I'm gonna say yes, I approve it for those reasons, but I can see exactly where you're coming from, Mike.
Mr. Lane?
No.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, back to agenda section 11, other educational consent items. Will be B through E now that I need a motion to approve. B through E.
So moved.
Second.
All right, B is to approve an overnight out-of-state trip for the football team. No, it's an overnight, not out-of-state. The second one is the cross-country team. And the third one is the varsity boys basketball team going to Maryland in December. I think they've been doing that for a couple of years, I believe.
Yeah, they've rotated between going south or going to the East Coast.
All right, C is to approve the 2025-2026 Lebanon High School graduates. D is to adopt Myers Psychology for the AP course. And E is to approve the resolution to adopt the NIST Cybersecurity Framework version 2.0.
So we're also required by state law now to have a cybersecurity framework. What are we going to do in the event of a cybersecurity attack, and how are we protecting all of our networks and things? So we're adopting a framework that was put together at a statewide level, and then Casey Green, our coordinator there, has been working really hard to implement that. And a lot of the work we're doing this summer technology-wise is to update some infrastructure for cybersecurity, so. The other thing, just to point out, we're using a second edition of the psychology, so we're not changing the provider, we're just updating to a newer edition on the psychology textbooks.
Any questions or comments about agenda section 11, items B through E? B through E. None, Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda Section 12, Personnel. I'm going to need a motion to approve the personnel consent items A through P. A through P, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I will read through these. A is a list of resignations. P is employment pending acceptable BCI FBI background check. And one of those people is here this evening, Ms. Fisher. How are you? Good, how are you? Fine. Did you include Jason's name in your FBI BCI background check? Her father-in-law was a teacher of mine and a football coach. So C is coordinator contracts. D is substitute employment pending acceptable background checks. E is a list of supplementals for the high school and the junior high. F is our typical board resolution for the employment of non-licensed coaches. G is a list of change of status. H is some volunteers. I-1 is a list of leave of absences, and I-2 is the unpaid days leave that's in your packet. J is a tutor. K is extended days.
So extended days, that's a big list of them. Just to point out, teacher contracts, they're 184 days. If their, if their job is more days than that and it's built into the teacher contract, so for example, dean of students, we give 10 additional days because they're operating like an administrator, pseudo administration, so they're doing work to either close out last school year, prepare for next school year. They have 10 additional days to do that work. So those are some of the things. Guidance counselors have time built in the summer to work on things for next school year as well. So majority of the time, these are all based off of contractual timelines and things like that.
L is for seasonal workers.
There's one on there that definitely needs a background.
Suspicious.
Well, and her last name's spelled wrong.
There's an S on the end of it.
M is stipend. N is building substitute and academic tutors pending acceptable background checks. O is extended school year services. And P is Mark Birkin as a game worker.
Okay, I'd like to add just a couple clarifications on a few things, just to make you aware of what's happening around the district this summer. You talked about the seasonal workers, the folks that are listed there. Those individuals are working alongside our custodians in the summer. These newer ones on the list to help clean buildings. So we have buildings and they wipe and clean every desk and chair, wall, strip and wax the floors and do all the stuff in every building. So the last 4 or 5 years, we've been employing 18-year-old, typically college students to come in. You'll see a pretty robust summer mowing crew this summer of graduates that are out there doing the work on the ground so the custodians can be inside cleaning buildings. We're hosting several things this week on this campus. Actually, I think the Savannah Bananas Drop-In Baseball Clinic is happening this week. I was just told about that about 2 hours ago. I didn't know anything about it, but they're utilizing the stadium and the baseball facility out here. So what I was, Jamie Buchert was like, we got to make sure it looks great. I mean, if the Savannah Bananas are coming to town and all of these parents bringing kids, then we're doing work on grounds that we know it wouldn't maybe be doing in the summer, to clean things up and do some things like that. So our summer workers, seasonal helpers have been great. The other thing to kind of point out, we talk about this from time to time, especially during hiring season. We hire new employees. Welcome, Wesley, nice to meet you. We hire new employees and we put them, at step 0 or whatever on the list here, based off of the information we know at the time. And then if you'll see, go to the next page, we do a status change. And so just as a reminder to anybody watching and looking at this, a status change means we're moving them up a step or a level once we get verification of previous employment or can verify that they have the master's degree they told us about before or whatever. So we typically hire them in at the base rate, and then once we confirm all the information, that's why there's a big list of change of status things there as well. And then the other thing I just want to point out is the coordinator contract. So I'm excited about having Jamie Buchert move from her role where she was basically the office manager and running the department from behind the desk here. She knows a ton about that role, and so Mike is leaving to go be a business manager someplace else, a promotion for Mike Arlinghouse. But Jamie will be excellent in the role, and she'll do a really good job and has already hit the ground running this summer. So wanted to point that out. If there's any questions for any of these personnel items, let me know. But I just try to provide a little bit of context sometimes because some of these things may not make sense if you're just reading it off the page.
Well, I don't really have a question, but a comment to the building administrators and Mr. Dalton for just staying ahead of all this so well. I mean,
Yeah.
Seems like we have resignations and hires, just as soon as the opening's there, we fill it, or very close to it.
We were in really good shape until about a
Yeah.
month ago.
Yeah.
And it typically happens, which is why we try to get it all done before, mid-May if possible. And there's a very good system of screening applicants in the HR department, sending a list of qualified people to the buildings to interview. And it's been able to allow our administrators to focus on running their building and not have to process 60 applicants. And then giving them, the 5 or 6 people to interview and do. So Brian's done a really good job and our administrators have kept up with it. So I think we have a few spots to fill that are recent vacancies, but I think we're in pretty good shape.
Any other questions about section 12, items A through P? None?
Actually, I do. On P, it says 25-26 school year. Is that just retro? Is that a misprint? Mr. Bierkin?
It could be for this year, because we had a couple last few games to pay, but it could also be for next year,
If it's
so.
for next year, we'll just have to put it on
Well,
next month's
exactly.
agenda as well. Sorry, I just caught that.
Anything else? All right, Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Cope,
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon,
Yes.
motion carried.
Agenda section 13, other business. We need a motion and a second to discuss and vote on item A, approve the resolution declaring the necessity to raise additional school district revenue. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
So I will just kick this off by saying we've had multiple work sessions to discuss our current financial situation. Karen does a good job every month of providing the update. One of the things that's in the cash balance policy is if we get to the point where we're falling below the 90-day minimum threshold, we bring to you suggestions. And so our job in the last couple of months is to bring some suggestions to the board members on how to address the widening gap between the revenue and expenditures. And we're currently beginning that portion where the revenue and expenditures are diverging from each other. I share this with the board. I want to just kind of share a few things. The whole point of this is it necessary to request more additional tax revenue for the district? There's a process to follow, just to point out to anybody listening. We would have to bring back in July the resolution to proceed, the notice to proceed, where the board would say, yes, we're going to ask for money. But this is determining Do you as a board agree that there's necessity for us to increase tax revenue? So the discussions we've had is around the 1% earned income tax. Earned income tax is taxing payroll, not retirement benefits or fixed income or residual income. So the necessity around, oops, that's not showing up, sorry. The reasoning for this, we've talked about this a lot in the last, since December when the laws changed. State property tax reform, and we have to be careful what's happening here, and I will let Karen correct me if I'm wrong. It says cut here, but what we're seeing is a $13 million reduction of expected revenue. So property tax, we expected it to grow based off of the property tax issues. We were budgeting for that. They've capped property tax revenue and growth at the rate of inflation with the new laws passed in December. And so prior to that point in time, it was based off of the reappraisals. Now it's at the rate of inflation, which there's a gap there. And it's $13 million less over a 4-year period than what was anticipated in December. Our district expenses are outpacing our capped revenue, so we've heard from Matt Nolan several times in the last several months, but what I heard from him last week during our work session was, your property tax is not going to grow. The law has been changed to not allow property tax revenue to increase, basically. So we're gonna have capped property tax revenue. We're not seeing anything more from the state. Based on these law changes in December, we anticipate, the whole state anticipates that state revenue will actually decrease because we're gonna look like we're getting more property tax revenue locally, even though we aren't. So we're gonna see a decrease in state revenue because of that, which is gonna be an issue. And by 2030, we'll face an annual shortfall of $8.5 million because of these issues. Karen talked about it tonight. Our personnel is the largest expense that we have. We've worked hard to get services in for students and to provide a quality education. The only way for us to make up $8.5 million annually is to cut people, and a lot, which means programs and people would be impacted. The other thing, and we continue to hear it all the time, is our community is growing rapidly and we need scalable funding. Going back to the Matt Nolan conversation, property tax revenue will not grow. If we were to pass an earned income tax, every new person moving into that community, their earned income tax, their earned income does add on to that, and it will grow as the community grows. So there was some information shared. The goal of this tonight is just to basically say, Karen, I will speak for Karen. Karen believes it is necessary for us to consider this next step. Tonight, what we're asking the board is to consider approving the declaration of necessity to raise additional school district revenue. What that school district revenue and all of the things that will package together with that is something that we would bring back to you in July.
Can I add a couple things?
You guys, that was my introduction. I would prefer for you guys to discuss it.
I think we need to be very clear, this is not new money. In the property tax situation we've been dealt, property taxes are out of control, no one's gonna argue with that. But the fact that the state level funding to the public school districts has dropped year over year and forced the burden on the local property tax owners or property owners via property tax is what's now being corrected, overly corrected, because they let the pendulum swing so much to the local level. If the state would fix the proven unconstitutional state funding,
That's right.
this problem would not be near as severe as it is. But they're not going to fix it.
Yep.
We know they're not going to fix it. A lot of them are getting financial advantage by pocketing the vouchers that they've approved, but they won't fix this despite the vouchers being 2 to 3 times what they're giving us per pupil. We have local representatives who are financially benefiting that will not vote to correct the behavior at the state level because it benefits them not to. And I'm pissed off about it, but this is where we are now. So, excuse my language.
Yeah. Mr. Lane is right, and I carry this around the old Ohio Constitution, which all of us have sworn to protect and uphold, and so have our senators and House representatives. But it says the General Assembly shall make such provisions by taxation or otherwise as, with the income arising from the school trust fund, will secure a thorough and efficient system of common schools throughout the state. It is not the school board's responsibility to do this. 100 years ago, school boards didn't do this. They're just not doing it. And the state of Ohio, basically, our friends in Columbus, they have three main functions. They are supposed to collect money for education. They're supposed to collect money for prisons. Is that correct? And then was it Medicaid that they do? Right. That's all they have to do. That's the only thing they're charged with. So what do? They incarcerate, they medicate, and they educate. That's all they do. So now they keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and pushing it on us to make us look like we don't know what we're doing. And the tax schemes that go on, and I've pointed them out before, I haven't paid income tax at my business in 3 years. I mean, it's embarrassing. The state just does not make businesses in Ohio pay income tax anymore. You know, I calculated how much money our friends in Columbus saved me with the rollback on real estate taxes. I'm saving $1.24 a day is what they gave me. And just totally threw every public school into the ditch over what I spend on a Sprite that I'm drinking. So I'm with Mike. I'm so frustrated. I just do not understand why the state cannot fix this. Well, I do know why they can't do it. Mike's right. So
I'm also aligned with Mr. McCutcheon and Mr. Lane. Some of us or all of us were voted into these positions to bring fiscal responsibility and good decision-making here. And some of us said, we're not going to raise taxes. Some of us said, we're going to manage spending. And I can tell you that the points that Mr. Sievers demonstrated, the $13 million shortfall, and I don't want to sound like I'm a small child, is not our fault. We are fiscally responsible here. This was not seen and not fully understood, and it is placed solely back at the local level from our state. And we have cut costs. We have examples that we have shown and demonstrated to our community, and we will continue to do so. But the fact remains that there's a budget shortfall coming. We see the iceberg. We have got to let the community know, and we have to educate that we have cut costs. This deficit increases in size to $8.5 million yearly by 2030, and we want to protect the quality and output that the community expects. And there's not $13 million or this number. We can't just cut that and be the same quality product that we just congratulated so many graduates that are moving on to do wonderful things. And we can't have that same output with these numbers. That's all I want to say right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that we've had a number of meetings surrounding this, and so it's not really a surprise. I mean, we've been planning, and trying to evaluate our expenses and looking at efficiencies, and I think that over the past 6 years, we've really gotten to some real efficiencies within the district. But I would agree also that it is a reduction in state funding that is causing this to happen. So it's not our mismanagement of funds, because we're doing everything that we can, and we oversee, and we will continue to oversee everything that goes out the door, to make sure that we're providing the highest quality education, because I think that's what everyone here in Lebanon wants. And we also want to make sure that we are appropriately managing our money. And so it's not that this has just come out of the blue. We've been watching this, and we're kind of trying to get ahead of the game in this.
I did want to point this out, because I think there's, what we're going to work on is providing some detailed information about the why of this, because that's, I think, important. But when we talk about the district expenses outpacing revenue, our expenses are only growing by 3.77% annually. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Growth is happening in certain areas. We're paying people more. That is a reality of the people-based business. But we're working to provide operational savings and things else. We've talked a lot about transportation, becoming more efficient, all those things that help with that. But when we talk about this gap, it doesn't look like much, right? But 3.7% of a significant budget is a lot of money annually. And so what the resolution is this evening is about the resolution of necessity to raise additional revenue. And there'll be some work in the next month to tighten that up and bring back what would then go, if we were to move forward with putting something on the levy in November, on the ballot in November, what would go forward with that. So we've had a lot of really good discussions. Tonight is just about the timeline to continue moving forward. If it doesn't get approved tonight, then there's no way for it to get on the ballot in November, if that's what the board decides to do. So we're one step in the process tonight.
And I think it's important to call out, the reason we're looking at an income tax is we've heard for the last 4 levies, right, that the elderly people in Lebanon can't afford to stay in their homes based off property taxes. So this gives them relief in that they are not participating in this tax.
Correct. I would also like to point out, just from the discussions we've had, Senator Wilson has encouraged Karen and I to do this in meetings we've attended with him. Representative Matthews has encouraged us to do this in meetings we've attended with him, and our own auditor, Matt Nolan. The request is to diversify revenue streams, to not become more dependent on property taxes, which is what they're trying to change at the state level. And so the recommendation for this, it also is something that works for a district that is growing. It should allow us to not have to ask for additional revenue for a longer period of time, because with the growth, the increase in revenue would happen with those new people moving into the community, so.
And it is consistent with other programs across the state.
Well, I always felt, I mean, I've been saying it in CAC for several years, that we need to start looking at doing this. I just wish we could have had more time to do it appropriately. I think that's how I see it, so. I got, during my rant, I covered up my notes. So are there any other discussions or comments or questions about this resolution of necessity. Ms. Irwin, roll, please.
Mr. Gliotti,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon,
Yes.
Mrs. Cope,
Yes.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
motion carried.
Moving on to agenda section 14, board comments. Ms. Cope, anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to comment and state that comments were made that the state legislators are directly benefiting or in some way pocketing money from the changes that they've made. So I would like evidence of that,
Not
specific
pocketing,
evidence.
no.
But that was the comment that was made.
No, financially benefiting.
How?
Our local representatives getting vouchers to pay for private schools.
If they're homeschooling, they're not getting that. So that's my point.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my only comment.
That's fair.
Mr. Gliotti?
I was, first off, commencement was amazing, really enjoyed it, and congratulations to all our graduates, and congratulations to our faculty, staff, everyone involved with the academic year. It was great. I also was really pleased to meet with a couple of parents recently who asked about the formation of an entrepreneurship class or club. And I was excited to forward that on to Mr. Sievers. And, we hope that that takes off here. There are some other programs in some private schools that we think that we could do as good or better job doing in promoting entrepreneurship to students who have that interest. So I was really excited and looking forward to see if I can get that ball moving too. Thanks.
Excellent. Ms. Dalton?
No comments.
All right. Mr. Lane?
I've said enough today. I'm good.
All right. The only thing I have, Leslie, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you at every board meeting from here on out.
You should get an award for staying like the longest. I don't know.
I was like, I don't know who these people are and why they're here. Now it makes a lot more sense, but
Yeah, so Jason,
perseverance award
yeah,
tonight.
Jason was a couple years younger than me, good athlete. His dad was an excellent teacher. Excellent teacher.
evidenced by how you turned out.
He got me really young, so, yeah. All right, so moving on.
And Leslie is a good athlete too, let me just add. That's all I'm going to say to that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a great family, so I'm happy you're here. It's great. Agenda section 15, executive session. The board needs to enter into executive session for the purpose to consider confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, or to negotiate with other political subdivisions representing requests for economic development assistance. May I have a motion and a second to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Mrs. Cope,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon,
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti,
Yes.
motion carried.
The board will now enter into executive session at 7:39 PM. No action will be taken during or after this session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.